Hello and welcome to Transmutational Thursday. This is a live, inspirational, common unity collaboration. Hashtag LIC. My name is Markabadi, and it is a pleasure to host such beings of luminary light. It literally is an honor. I'm fulfilled. I am fulfilled. Thank you. Please do share this video. That's the best way to get live views. It's interactive, so if you post anything on any of the mediums you're watching this on, there are 5 mediums it's being posted on. If you put any comments underneath the videos, I will see them directly and be able to relay them to our guests. Today, we have a wonderful guest, one of my favorite musicians, mainly because of the magic that's weaved within the musical way of this beat. It is Scott Grace, and he's going to be sharing on the magic and muses of the moment. And Scott has been described across between John Denver, Robin Williams, and Dr. Seuss, a magical, musiful, creative artist, reflector, and storyteller. Scott's the author of Teach Me How to Love a True Story That Touches Hearts and Helps with the Laundry. Many have raved about it on Amazon, and the rumor has it that these 5-star reviews were placed there by innocent readers unwittingly intoxicated from inhaling the spirits emanating from its pages. Scott has recorded 9 CDs and DVDs of his original music and comedy. He presents as guest speaker and singers at church, nonprofits, conferences, and corporate events. Occasionally stand up in the Bay Area. He's best known for his song portraits, customized, personalized song gifts, honor people on their birthdays. You can find out more at scottsings.com. So without further ado, let's bring in Scott. Welcome.
It is an honor to be with you and to be with everyone who's listening and watching.
Such a pleasure, Scott. And I wanted to relay the first time we met. Oh no, you wanted to start with a song.
Well, you can start with relaying the first time we met and we'll go into the song.
So the first time we met, I was giving one of my early career workshops at the Association for Chartered Energy Psychologists, ACEP. And this was about 15 years ago or so. And I would just, I was going very well. I was very people enjoying it. And, I was a bit nervous. It was my first international workshop type of era. And then you came in at the end with a guitar, and I was like, I didn't really know who you were or what you did. And you came in at the end, and you listened for 10 minutes to me as I summed up or whatever. And then you just asked very nice, can I sing a song of what I've heard? And you sang, and it was so funny and so brilliant, and it encapsulated so much of what had happened in the hour-and-a-half workshop. It was just, everyone laughed, and it helped to crystallize in the lessons and the work that had been done. And so it was the way you used comedy and music to enchant information in the way that really we all want, which is to get it into people's
ears. Yes. My aspiration when I do music is to combine empathy, vision, and comedy. Right. So those 3 things, not just comedy, but empathy too, to tune into the heart of what's going on in people and meet them where they're at, but then take them somewhere new. That's the vision part.
Right. Now, meet them where they're at, that's an interesting one, because how do you know where they're at?
Tuning in. I'm a tuner. I tune.
Right. And, like a tuning fork, you sort of get the resonance in the room.
Exactly. Or with one person, because I do a lot of work with individuals.
Right.
So even before somebody opens their mouth, I can feel what they're feeling and what they're going through.
How did you get started on this path of sharing? I mean, it feels like, in a way, a healing.
Yes. Most of, this all evolved because I was committed to healing myself. Personal growth. I did every workshop I could find, individual therapy. And what came from me doing my own personal work was and is the ability to serve others. And you know how that works. It's
right.
you know, we work on ourselves, and then the universe gives us assignments and gifts and talents that I maybe brought in when I was born, that, you know, got developed because I was willing to do the personal growth work.
Right, right. Um, so, so how are you finding that that using music gives you, like, it seems that music has hidden codes in it. It's like hidden codes about nature. Can you
Mm.
speak to that? Do you find that there's some sort of like hidden magic inside using
Oh,
music as opposed to
yes,
just talking?
very much so. You know, like even the Beatles sang "She Loves You," yeah, yeah, yeah. But there was something in the music that was giving people the freedom to be themselves. And somebody said that the Beatles did more to end communism than any politician, you know, in Russia.
Uh-huh.
Wow, you know, just because we are coded to awaken through music. We're coded is a beautiful way of saying it. We are coded to change, to feel, to awaken, to move mountains, through the use of listening to music and maybe singing along. I'd like to share a song that I just came out with, that is to the tune of "What a Wonderful World," one of my favorite songs of all time. And it's all about what's going on in the world today, but it paints it in a beautiful light. So let's do it. Is that okay with you, Mark?
Absolutely.
Okay. I see latex gloves, facial masks too, millions of people with nothing to do, and I think to myself, it's still a wonderful world. I see skies getting bluer, oceans getting clean, a pause in the madness, we awake from the dream, and I say to myself, it's still a wonderful world. Oh yeah. Could it be that this pandemic, as hard as it can be, is for our transformation, supporting unity? I see friends washing hands, standing 6 feet apart, but there's no distance between our hearts. Oh yeah. I see 7 billion people all across the earth facing this challenge, going through a rebirth, and I think to myself, it's still a wonderful world. Oh yeah. Could it be that the racism now being revealed is coming to the surface to be cleansed and to be healed? I see protesters all over, every color of the skin, black, white, brown folks discovering we're kinship, family. I see 7 million people, diverse as we can be, waking up to oneness, a human family, and I think to myself, it's still a wonderful world. Oh, I sing to myself, still a wonderful world. Oh yeah.
You got very Louis there at the end. I like it.
Louis, baby. You know, he didn't like being called Louis. He said that was a slave name, so he asked people to call him Satchmo or Louis.
Oh, really? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
I read that.
I didn't know that. So do you find that you're getting a lot of material with the way things are going these days?
Very materialistic. I always look for material and find it.
You're very materialistic.
Yes.
That's
Yeah,
great.
I'm doing great with all this. It's all inspiring music and thoughts. You know, I wrote a book that you maybe didn't see. It's called How to Evolve During the Trump Experience, Whether Humanity Joins You or Not.
I have absolutely not seen that.
And it has a poem in the back of the book, and it's very short. I'll read it to you.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is not a problem to be solved. He's an in-your-face wake-up call, a calling to evolve. As this book assists you to do some inner work, Trump may still be acting like an insensitive jerk, but he won't continue to jerk your chain, because you'll have discovered how to remain in your peaceful, powerful, and playful center, where love, joy, and immigrants can enter.
So, I mean, let's talk more about this magic that happens with music, because it seems like there is a mathematics. I mean, the mathematics of music is kind of like well explored from Pythagoras, you know, using the golden ratio to establishing the musical scale that we're used to today. And it seems that nature itself folds with the same mathematics. So what's really going on?
I read a book once with a channel by the name of Ken Carey. Do you know his work?
No.
It doesn't matter.
Oh, though that's familiar. The name's familiar.
Yeah, the Starseed Transmissions was his most famous book. And in one of his books, he said, human beings are going to be, you know, it's agreed upon that we're going to be fast asleep for a while, you know, a couple thousand years. And that the universe will send us some musical codes to help us awaken. That actually music, even love songs from the Beatles and stuff, that doesn't seem to have anything to do with transformation. Music has the key to helping us awaken from a dream of separation. And of course, it puts a smile on your face, and children love it. And you know, I go to elderly homes and sing for the elderly, and I do songs from the 1920s and 30s, and you know, they just love it. It gives them such joy. It gives me joy to give them joy.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I remember the healing power of music seems to be almost a mystery. Like every culture on the planet uses music to communicate story.
Indeed.
And I suppose the question is, are stories more powerful with music? And if so, why aren't teachers singing their classes?
Well, you know, they say the fear of public speaking is one of the biggest fears, and the fear of public singing is even bigger for a lot of people. So, yeah, teachers, they may recognize the power of music, but they don't necessarily see themselves as singers, and they don't have the experience to do that.
I mean, what's the solution here?
Bringing me to their conferences, workshops, and events. That's the solution. Is I'm here. I'm on the planet. I do this well, and I do it for fun and joy. And
obviously, but there's only so many of you to go around.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So maybe one day I'll teach, you know, what I do and help people do it for themselves.
So that's a question. So at the moment, are you teaching? Have you tried to teach anyone this kind of skill?
Oh, I have not. And I've had psychics tell me that that's in my cards in my future. So, but I have not.
I see. So okay. So we can tell me about the process that goes on in you. Like, are you aware of it, or is it just sort of automatic? It just sort of comes.
It's automatic, and you know, there's a few things that I do that I'm not able to tell me that that's in my cards in the future.
My fault. Carry on.
So I'm not aware of the process. I don't know how I do it. I know that I must not hesitate because hesitation turns into fear, and that turns into blocking the flow. Let me say that again. This is true for everyone. Hesitation turns into fear, you know, going into the logical mind and trying to figure things out.
Right.
That turns into a blockage so that spirit can't come through. So I'm very, versed, you might say, in letting spirit
That was good.
come through before my ego has a chance to get the microphone and try to figure things out.
Okay, so now are we talking about the logical mind versus the emotional mind?
Intuitive,
Heart
is what I
versus
would
mind.
say, the logical versus the intuitive. Left brain, right brain. You know, most of us have no training in how to think with the intuitive side of our brain. And when we do it, we call it a miracle. But it's not, it's just using the other side of our brain.
And so, yeah, so a lot of people get stuck in this notion of overthinking things. Like when I was teaching meditation, I've been teaching that for 20 years. One of the main questions that comes up for people is how do I do it? Like they want the recipe,
Yes.
the step by step direction, and of course, there's no direction in the surrender. So is it something similar with allowing the guidance, the channeling? I mean, are you doing what like Blavatsky did and all these channels? Is that what's going on here?
I don't know. You tell me. I'm just here to do
Here to
it.
do it, right? And
I don't.
in effect,
Or maybe I haven't learned how to teach it yet because I haven't even figured out what I'm doing.
right, right. And I suppose in a way, I'm even taking us into the mental body of it rather than the actual practice of it.
Yeah, let's ask me to sing a song about it.
Okay,
Let's go
okay.
to music.
So I would love you to sing a song, and if anyone wants to make requests, they can post it in the any of the chat mediums that you're watching this on, and I'll relay it to Scott. So I would love a song that talks about um, how we can, with grace and joy, convert our life, our output from the physical world needing connection to having a digital output, which then allows us to spend more time with nature because we're not spending all this time traveling to and from some sky-rise building.
Well. That's a great point, Mark. Usually when you said digital, I cringed a little because I don't, like to spend time online.
Right.
I don't like computers. I want to be out in nature. But you're saying if we can convert everything to digital, then we'll have the time to be out in nature.
Right. We'll spend less time in the car, less time in going in and out of these stupid office blocks and cities. We can all just do our work and then go and have fun like the other bits.
Okay, so it's a time-saving device.
Yes.
Okay, I never thought of it that way. It's
So
really
any other questions you need to bring up? Do I need to give you a genre or a vibe? I love the Beatles.
Oh, please don't. Because I don't know what my fingers are going to do, and
Perfect.
I don't want that much guidance. Let's go digital so we don't travel so much and our hearts can be touched by the natural world. Let's go digital so we have plenty of time to open our hearts and not get stuck in our minds. So when we travel here and there, we've got to worry and we've got to care about looking at traffic and taking the time. It just keeps us stuck in our logical minds. Let's go digital. And now we can see that the digital frees up time and reality. Let's go digital. It's the key to it all. We can be done with computers and have ourselves a ball. 20 minutes, an hour in the morning or noon, and then we can go listen and play a tune. Look at the trees, take hikes in the woods. This is the future the highest good.
Let's go digital.
It's
Um,
a little catchy little ring to it.
yeah, yeah, and it's counterintuitive. Um, how do you find that? Like, have you ever done any of this work with sort of a therapeutic reflection? Like,
Very much so. You
like,
know,
like,
one of the things I am as a life coach, and what I offer people is that at the end of the session, I will sum up our work together. I will sum up that person's growth in a song, and I send them a little link to it, so people can really integrate the session and integrate the personal growth with music, because that's one of the magical things about music. It helps us integrate to go from mind to the heart and have much more of an understanding of what we're up to.
and how do you feel that? I mean, the integration process is obviously fantastic. Have you done any work with sort of the indigenous storytelling through music? Like, have you looked to that sort of uh, old wisdom?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry to say I haven't. I missed out on that one.
Yeah. Well, you've got what you've got, and it's a beautiful output. What are
Sure.
what are you what are you planning to do with it? Like the next steps for you?
Well, I actually don't know, because one of the how do I say this? One of the agreements that I have with the universe is to make no plans,
Ah,
and to just let myself be guided moment to moment. And people like you come into my reality and ask me to go on talk shows, and things like that happen. So it's important for me to not have my own agenda, so that I can be a servant of the universe.
that's interesting. That the agendaless. I mean,
Mhm.
because there's a lot of people who talk about manifesting the future, and one of the things that they say is having very specific um, idea of how your future looks, feels, tastes, touches.
That may work for some people. For me, it's a control trip.
Mm.
I've grown to the point where that doesn't serve me anymore.
I mean, I know that in part of that discussion there is this notion of surrendering, uh,
Indeed.
like after the specific thing has been done, you surrender it, uh,
Hmm.
and it feels like you're sort of you just skipping to the surrender phase,
Yeah, don't collect $200. Just go to surrender.
right? Go straight to surrender. Have you how have you noticed? Is that what implications has that had for your life? Like, um,
Well, it's brought up a lot of fear, um, because I still have an ego that doesn't like not having any idea what's going on. Um, and it's helped me move through that fear to a certain extent and get to a place of peace, real peace, deep inner peace.
are you doing meditation with this? Uh,
I'm embarrassed to say this, but not really.
It seems like the work you're doing is like a karmic yogi meditation.
Yes.
It,
Yeah.
it seems so simple that it's almost like there's nothing to ask about it. There's no questions.
Mm. Well, there's like one basic question, Father, guide me, tell me what to do now.
Mm,
As, a question that I'm always asking.
mm. It's requesting for guidance.
Yeah. Um, I don't know if you know this, but I have an altered ego, where I call myself the spiritual Dr. Seuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And these poems, these performance pieces, I have 6 of them now, came through me. Um, some of them took months, for me to fine tune, because they came through me pure, but I had to work them. I had to fiddle with them to get all the words adjusted. And I guess the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it would be fun to share one of these poems with everyone. That's okay with you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Let's
Yeah.
let the music sing.
Yeah, it's not quite music. It's more poetry, but it certainly got some rhythm to it. And I haven't done these in quite a while, so I haven't. I'm worried that my memorizing skills won't be so good. So what I'm going to do is have this little booklet
Absolutely.
in front of me so I can cheat.
Yes.
All right. Let's see if I can do a better one. Nope. Oh, I need
Yeah.
All right, so get in your pajamas. Let's gather and snuggle. And I'll tell you a story, the story of struggle. It begins in a place before struggle began, in a garden called Easy, where all things were grand. The people who tended the garden had fun. They prospered and played and got lots of things done. One day, two plain folks, call them Adam and Eve, went under the covers with shame and some leaves. And then came the blame game, the who cut the cheese. Was it Eve or a snake or the wrong choice of trees? The day-to-day play, all the joy they were given, gave way to the thought we must work for a living. And God did reply, kids, you gotta be kidding. Everything you could want is right here, not forbidden, but they could not receive the good news. They thought that to play, they must first pay their dues. By the sweat of thy brow, we must now earn our bread. And they didn't know the gluten had gone to their heads. Then they passed this confusion right on to their kids, hiding their loins with more leaves from more figs, teaching their offspring original sin, who then passed it off to their nextest of kin. And they made their cause noble. They justified pain. To suffer's God's will. No pain means no gain. And if you have struggled through life unabated, then when you croak, your rewards card will be activated. That's when you cash in all your hard sacrifices and rest up in heaven with the rest of the righteous. And so human beings, they assumed the position of forgetting that love did not come with conditions. They dreamed up a God with a list of demands, with rules and with judgments and a whip in his hands. And over the seas came the pure Puritans to spread the work ethic all over the land. The pleasures of life must not ever be trusted. If you dare enjoy sex, you're eternally busted. God sits on a cloud with his one only son, and they both wear a frown when you have too much fun. But if you can grab a bull right by its horns, well then God is pleased and might send less shit storms. And then in your tombstone, your tribute might say, he worked hard for the money and toiled each day. She played by the rules, never did make a scene. And here lies his body along with his dreams. Most folks are not dead yet, just taking a snooze. Asleep at the wheel, driven by their to-dos. The average adult has a list that won't stop. And to be who you are is just not near the top. But when your to-bes become priorities, you fly through to-dos with the greatest of ease. But when your to-dos make to-bes disappear, you get caught in to-do-dos right up to your ears. Mm. Now this is a bit long, and I'm just wondering if it's okay to continue. Is it?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, we're in the flow. Okay, you get caught in to-do-dos right up to your ears. So what in the world is this thing, struggling? Allow me to define it, this world-famous thing. It's trying and trying and trying so hard with your own ego strength that is no match for God's. You're doing your best and it's very courageous, but I'll do it myself is not self-advantageous. Yet when you join hands with the powers that be, then your source takes the lead and she leads you for free. So struggle is simply a well-worn belief, and beliefs can be bygones, replaced and released. See, what's a belief but a thought you've been thinking so long and so hard that it's doing some stinking? And when you can smell your own moldy beliefs, you break out of the mold and you get some relief. By now, are you thinking, enough is enough. There's life beyond struggle. I just got to trust. Then woohoo, you're ready to drop that belief and reclaim what's under your ancient fig leaf. Because under your cover, there's nothing to hide. The slippery serpent's been speaking some jive. We don't work for a living, we're already alive. We're not here for surviving, we be here to thrive. We're not human doings, we're beings born to fly. So get out your cell phones and send out a text to your family and friends, all your loved nervous wrecks. Tell them their nerves need no longer be taxed. They can travel downstream and be much more relaxed. And when they say, hey, that just makes me afraid, because lazy don't pay me, there's bills to be paid. Let them see easy does it is working for you, that your life has your back and your trust sees you through. And if they say, no way, Jose, that's just fine. Not everyone's hip to the trip, they're divine, but everyone gets there in their own sweet time. And you help them the most when you're staying aligned. I'm staying aligned, staying aligned. And so when you're up, and so when your isness becomes your main business, you feel just like Santa the eve before Christmas. You have so much to give and so much to receive, and it happens as easy as breath when you breathe. Your breath breathes itself with no push and no shove, and so goes your life when you know that you're loved. And if you work hard and do work up a sweat, it's only because you love getting wet. Because when you're inspired to follow your bliss, even when you perspire, it feels effortless. Like the work that you're doing is being done through you, and you're thrilled to be letting the universe do you. Please email this poem, although some might delete it, and post it on Facebook and on Twitter. Tweet it. Because millions are ready to hear the good news that struggle's a choice that you don't have to choose. And struggle-free living, oh my, how we love it. We flow down the stream on the boat, easy does it. And easy does do it, we find out at last. We don't stop at the tolls, we just use Easy Pass. We're taking it light in the slow lane or fast. Because the joke's been on us and we finally can laugh. I have one final message and then I will go. You can't give up struggle completely, you know. There are rites of passages, powerful rites, where struggle is part of you birthing more life. Try reading this poem to a woman in labor. She'll say, out of my face and don't do me a favor. Our struggles are sometimes endearingly human. They spice up our life like fresh garlic or cumin. So next time you struggle, please don't self-attack. Don't struggle with struggle. Let's cut you some slack. Because when you are kind to yourself and your struggles, the kindness alone brings relief on the double. And so to wrap up now, because I'm feeling spent, let's sacrifice struggle this Easter for Lent. Or just do it now. Why procrastinate when the garden of ease is your natural state? It's been waiting with patience, and it's well worth the wait. The garden of ease is our natural state. It's everyone's birthright and everyone's fate. The garden of ease is our natural state. Nice deep breath, everyone. Breathe in the garden of ease. It can be that easy. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, it's simple, and it's, you know, your last name, Grace.
Yes.
Something that I've had some experience with, the grace of. I used to have a rejection to the word grace because I used to see it as religious, and then I had the realizations of grace, and I got what it is. You know, so there's no religion about it. I suppose the questions that come to mind are, you know, with all the Black Lives Matters, the indigenous rights, all these affected, oppressed people who are now fighting and struggling to be heard and seen. The message of relax, trust, sit back.
Oh.
How does that interact with the need to kind of meet oppression with strength?
Well, people are sometimes called, there's a calling, to pick up the sword and fight, or to, you know, struggle with something. And you know, I'm more of a modern mystic, so I'm not here to struggle with anything. But there are people who are here in agreement with their soul contract to take up the cause and work out what's going on in society. It's a very slow and usually a very painful process to try to change society. But it is, you know, who's to argue with the work of Abraham Lincoln or Harriet Tubman? You know, their struggle was so important to humanity.
Mm. How can people who are struggling, who are, you know, fighting the oppression, how can they incorporate grace and this notion of trust?
One way is to have protest songs, because when you're singing, you're at ease, and the songs get the message across. So you have a message. One of the best ways to give it is to songs and poetry, you know, with the arts, including like radio. Jim Carrey recently has taken up doing art to get a political point across, and his art is phenomenal. You know, who would have known it? So what I would say to somebody who's struggling is the more you can trust that you're in the right place at the right time doing the right thing, the more there's going to be ease in your process.
Right.
The more you can trust that you're in your right place doing the right thing at the right time, the more you're going to allow ease to be part of your process.
And everyone's in the right place at the right time, aren't they?
Yes. It's just a matter of, do you know it or not? Because it makes life a whole lot easier to trust and know that all is well.
Mm.
You know, so there's two truths always going on in the world. One is all is well, and the other is all is not well.
Right.
The all is not well is, you know, having slavery and having cruelty and violence on the planet. You know, that we were not meant to do that. So we sidestepped our process for a few thousand years, and now we're coming back slowly and gradually to be who we really are instead of false images that we worshipped.
I mean, should we be teaching our kids now, especially with this online nature? A lot of kids are they're not engaged with the online presence because it takes a certain focus to look at a screen and interact with it as if it's human.
And when kids are forced prematurely to do that, that's one of the causes of ADHD. It doesn't allow their brain to develop with balance. So, you know, I'm pretty strong in my opinion that the longer we can keep kids away from screens, the better off their brains will be, and their emotional growth as well.
Yeah, of course, that doesn't lead well for the quarantine. As long as kids are looking at the screen, I mean, should we be incorporating music into their education process to keep them engaged now in that creative process?
Of course, music, humor, poetry, anything to just get us out of just staying in our left. Is it the left brain, the intellect? Yeah, to incorporate the right brain activities.
There's an interesting irony because even though you're saying getting out of the way of the left brain, like your poem was very clever in its left brain. Like poetry is sort of left brain because it's taking words that rhyme, and don't have to rhyme in poetry obviously, but it's taking words and aligning them with other words.
It can be left brain. Some people's process is very left brain. My process is almost 100% right brain, where I'm allowing the poem to be channeled through. Mm-hmm. Then there's this process that can take months where I have to tinker with it with my left brain, right brain combination, where my intuitive and my reason mind, my logical mind work together in balance to bring forth the perfect words. And the rhythm, you know, the rhythm is important for a poem like that. It's almost like a rap song.
Right, exactly. So it seems to be combining the two sides. And are we not talking about rather than just saying one side, like yin or yang, the right brain versus the left brain, is it not a corpus callosum kind of...
Oh yeah, ideally they work together, and as I described, you know, they're like marriage partners. We marry the yin and the yang. We marry the intellect and the the ability to channel the universe. Ideally, those two things are working together in a marriage, a holy sacramony. Holy, what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever you get.
Union.
Yeah,
Yoga.
union. But because so many of us have overdeveloped the intellect, we have sometimes to go to the other part of the balance in order to find balance.
And what about, speaking of marriages, what about the notion of like when you're, or like relationships, when you're upset or your emotions are, do you find that, do you just sort of burst into song and start singing like, I'm really pissed off right now?
Oh, that would be great. As a matter of fact, my mother and I had an argument. She was driving and I was driving and she was criticizing my driving.
Oh, that is a mother's prerogative.
Right. So after a while, she didn't stop and I got so angry that I said, get out, you drive and I'm going to walk home the rest of the way. It was about a half an hour walk. So while I was walking, I channeled my anger into a song and I'll share it with you. It's called the Asshole Song.
The Asshole Song?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
God grant me the serenity to accept the assholes you sent to me. Like Captain Picard, I ask of you, God, to make it so that I can let go of this need to be right, the thrill of the fight. If I had babies, I'd let off for a bite. God, hear my call, send a grain of your salt, so I can take myself with some light. God, grant me patience, I don't have all day. Be a fast food creator, serve it my way. I told you I don't like reincarnation. You sent a bouquet.
Sorry, carry on.
I'll take a break. God, grant me the serenity to see in each asshole their divinity. For hard as I try to be a non-judging guy, sometimes I'm looking through my anal eyes. God, I'm down on my knees, where I'm starting to see that calling others asshole is a self-diagnosis. And I'd rather set myself and everyone free by loving all God's assholes unconditionally. Where you learn how to drive, you holy child of God. Yeah.
Now, I have a question about the words that we use because, words are magical.
Indeed.
And when we put words into music, it's almost like we can have more sort of comical play on it. Like that whole song was saying, let me put up with these assholes. And then there was a slight reflection of like, well, maybe I'm the asshole, but
yes.
It didn't seem to conclude of that. It still seemed to conclude that it was like, just give me.
Right. It's a victim consciousness song. I wrote it when I was feeling like a victim of my mother's criticism.
Right.
So even though it's a victim consciousness song, and I forgot some of the words. Actually, the last part I forgot was God grant me the serenity to accept the asshole inside of me.
Right. That's what I was gonna like in my head when you were saying it. It went to that.
So the asshole inside of me. For hard as I try to be a non-judging guy, sometimes I'm just looking through my anal eyes, analyzing everyone and everything.
Anal eyes, yes, and then the asshole inside of me works.
Yeah.
So it seems like that there's a need for this sort of work, this musical communication, right now with the kids especially.
Yes.
Have you planned to do online classes to do stuff like that with kids?
I have not, and in my own small way, I'm doing what I can. But that's a beautiful idea that I have not explored. I do have a children's CD and lots of positive messages in those songs.
Right. It seems like this live process you have this gift for, to be able to just sort of splurge out. and I, you know, it was definitely my first experience of you. Um, with very little information, you can conjure a collaboration of sounds and meaning, collaboration between the right and left, I would say. And yeah, it seems like the kids, the feedback I'm getting from teachers is that kids are really not able to focus on online.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just a suggestion of mine. It seems to be like offering that service to schools
Mm.
as a like a continual process.
I have gone to do the assemblies at schools where you know I make up songs and the kids have conflicts, you know, and I ask them to share something they're going through that's troubling, and then I'll make up a song about it. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's not.
Do you think music helps us digest things?
It's a beautiful word. I use the word integration. Digest is just as powerful. Yes, it helps us digest and integrate things. In the 60s, We Shall Overcome Someday was a song that many people loved. Nowadays, we want to take away the someday, you know, we shall overcome right now.
Right.
To don't put it into the future.
So what do you see the future of education being very much more musical? Are you seeing music increasing in its awareness? I mean, because
I
it
hope
seems
so. You know, I haven't put much thought into it, but it is my intention that music becomes more of a part of our everyday life, um, kids, elderly, and everyone in between.
right, absolutely. What are you doing like now? It seems that you're very focused on the present. So what goes on right now for you in terms of you see clients, you work as a coach, and you work with music as a coach?
I do invite people if they want to have a song at the end of a session. Not everyone is up for that, but um, yeah, I am working as a coach. I'm doing musical comedy at Zoom events, um, and I'm doing whatever I'm called to do, which varies a lot. Really, like you know, like I can be a grief counselor, helping people go through a grief process, where I'm very much like a therapist, and you know, and then pick up the guitar and sing the asshole song. It's like there's so much variety to what I do. It boggles my mind that I'm able to do it all.
And it's just that breath and the flow. So it seems to be you take guidance from grace, right?
Indeed, guidance from grace.
Guidance from grace.
Well,
Um,
let's sing about it. You know,
yeah,
we have the time for one more song.
absolutely.
Guidance from grace. I am in my perfect place. I am in my perfect time. And there's always a good rhyme in this song. We belong to the gift of grace in our song. We are always in our perfect place. In the song we belong, in our rhyme and rhythm. I don't know how I'm gonna rhyme the word rhythm. So I let go and let's flow and let the song speak to itself. Knowing I get struggle free, it's good for my mental health to be struggle free in my reality. Letting go and flowing with whatever may be. I'm struggle free as best as I can arrange, and I'll give myself the space to work through my pain. Yes, I'll give myself the space to work through my pain.
Space, empathy, vision, comedy, and space.
Hmm. Yeah, so those are the things that I really aspire to when I pick up the guitar, even when I'm just speaking to a client.
Wow. And so how can people get in touch with you now? What's the best way to get
I'm
you?
on planet Earth. I have a website and an email address. The website is www.scottsongs.com, SCOTTSONGS.com. And my email address is Scott, SCOTT, at scottsongs.com, SCOTTSONGS.com.
And then what sort of exchange is it? Let's say I wanted a song to commiserate to
Watch your words, Mark. Watch your words. You're going
yeah.
to get there.
So what's that?
I have pricing everything from $125 for a spontaneous song that's created in the moment to right now a fellow's working with me for a song for his business. His business is Man Cave America, all kinds of things for a man to go into his man cave. And he's paying me $700 for that.
So that's like a jingle song.
Well, it's quite, I mean, it's quite a lot. It's not just a jingle. A jingle is the chorus.
Right.
You know, there's actually a whole story about a man and a woman getting into an argument, and instead of trying to work it out, the man going to his man cave,
Right.
which is very wise, you know.
Yeah.
And the woman go shopping or, you know, do something fun for yourself that restores your feminine side.
And that seems to be allowing space.
It really is. It's one of those wise things that it often takes people a long time to really master, which is when you're in a fight with your partner, don't try to work it out. Don't try to talk it out. Go nurture yourself. Go get back to balance.
Could you sing it out?
Say that again?
Could you sing it out?
Yeah, that's, you know, if a couple has an agreement to sing the relationships, let's say they have a relationship song and people come to me for songs about their relationship. And let's just say that I create a relationship song for them,
Right.
and it's all about the higher purpose of their relationship. And
Right.
they make an agreement that if one person starts to sing that song, the other has to join in. They have to drop the argument and
Right.
sing their higher self song.
That is excellent. It's like a reset.
Yes. Yeah. It takes a lot of maturity to be willing to drop your story, your stuff, and rise to another level.
And it seems that music has that ability to take us to another level outside of the limiting factor.
Sure does.
Amazing. Amazing. Scott, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your musical, magical, mystical, minstrel ways with us.
Let's not forget mischief.
Minstrel mischief. It's been an absolute pleasure. It's like I am questionless with you because it seems so obvious that it's just being present with the channel. So
yeah, I like drawing people into the channel, you know, so that I'm not alone in it.
Exactly. Wonderful. Oh, well, thanks so much for coming on. I'll just sum up the show. Thank you so much, Scott.
Very good.
Oh, so very interesting. You know, we've been using music since day naught to tell story in tribe and in community. And it's still the case today. There seems to be a magic to it, a transcendence that occurs. And as Scott was sharing, the way that he channels it down is through getting out of the way. As with a lot of the magical inspirational arts, the healing arts, the painting arts, like we've spoken to our visionary artists, people get out of the way and enable a channeling to occur. And inside it, there seems to be a knitting of consciousness together. There seems to be a combination of both intellectual and creative allowance. Just like Ishgala's, her art was geometrical, precise shapes, but at the same time, it's helping to expand. And just like that with Scott's music and music in general, if we can make reference to the intellectual part at the same time as allowing rhythm and light to come through with this empathy, vision, comedy, it creates this sort of joining which allows us to be in trust and allows us to be less rigid and more flexible. So it seems that flexibility is the way of things, and the more flexible we can be, the more returning to the the to be's. If we can to be, then if being becomes our priority, then that's when we start to allow trust to surf us through the world. And even when we're standing up for ourselves and meeting a masculine oppression with a masculine oppression, there seems to be a magic in trusting that we're in the right place at the right time. And maybe if we sang more as community, then that would help us to remember the rhythm of trusting. Like the song has no issue with the spaces where there's no song. In fact, it relies on it. Music relies on the space between the notes and between the sounds, and trusting that the music itself trusts the space. And if we can embody that same rhythm, we're inside the rhythm of the universe, the mathematics of the universe. That is where our freedom happens, and that's where our empowerment occurs, and our creativity and magic occurs in the space. So yeah, Garden of Ease. Thank you so much to my guest, Scott Grace, musical, magical muse. I have a book, Book Evolve, bookevolve.com. You can see it online. Can I show it? There. Boom, boom. Yeah, and please share this video where you can. And in the devotion, there must be comedy. There must be comedy somewhere, because it seems that comedy is where we're met with opposites. And meeting with opposites is where music has its magic, in the meeting of opposites. So, thank you so much. Please like, share. I will see you all tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat place. I'm Markabadi signing out.